Right. Start it one more time. Did I start this back up again? Yeah. Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 11. We're in the divisional round. Um, the Vikings just did what the Vikings do and choked. Um, Tom Brady looked a little washed. Um, uh, the Bills did not look good. Josh Allen and Justin Herbert have looked very less than spectacular. They were definitely,
Mediocre.
yes, they were on the last year. If you would ask anybody, it was like Mahomes and then those two guys, and like everybody else was after them, like as who was going to run the NFL. And Josh Allen's just been throwing interception after interception. He's on a super team. He's nothing to complain about. He just keeps making bad plays. Uh,
Cincinnati barely beat Baltimore. That
uh,
defense, though, Baltimore's defense, ever since they traded for Roquan Smith, has been absolutely amazing.
yes, Roquan is that guy. It was tough to see him go, but I didn't want to pay Roquan $20 million. So
No.
if that's what he wanted, then I guess it was just fate. We got a second for him, so I guess that worked out. Or yeah, that's what we got for him, right? A second.
A second and a fifth.
Okay, so I mean, it worked out because I didn't want him for that, and I didn't want to tag him either because I didn't want him playing on a contract he didn't want. So it kind of worked out. But you're right; they have been a pretty solid defense. None of the teams look spectacular. I guess the Cowboys look good. Everyone keeps saying how bad the Bucks are, but they're just playing bad. They still have really good players. It's not like they have a bad team. Like
The play calling's been atrocious. They
yeah,
can't run the football.
yeah, but they have a solid O line. They got Worth, Ryan Jensen. You know what I mean? These aren't bad offensive linemen. Mike Evans, Godwin, fucking Gage. Tom Brady's just really that's the worst I think he's ever looked. Can't doubt him. I mean, he still look better than most guys, but
Especially in a playoff game.
yeah,
You
that
know what I'm
was
saying? Like, it was rough. It was rough to watch. The Super Wild, I mean, San Francisco looks like a top tier team. They look like they're probably, besides the Eagles, we'll see how the Eagles look next week against the Giants. But San Francisco, I think right now, it's more of a what have you done for me lately league. San Francisco seems to be the hot team in the NFC. They seem like they're, everybody's favorite choice now to come out of the NFC. The AFC, we got to see how the Chiefs look. But I think, realistically, it's still the Chiefs over in the AFC.
yeah. The Bills play like that
How,
against the Chiefs. They're getting cooked.
yeah, we'll see how. I still like Joe Burrow and the Bengals, but they have to protect their quote. Jonah Williams is horrible. He is god awful. He was their first round pick out of Alabama
Well,
this
yeah,
year.
like no, it wasn't this year. It's probably like 3 years ago.
Was it?
But he
He is
is a
so
first round
bad.
draft pick left tackle. Yes, he's bad.
He is so
Collins
bad.
got hurt. Leo Collins got hurt, I believe, right? A couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Um,
it has not worked. He is getting roasted on that left side
well,
of
that's
the
what I was
offensive
saying
line.
earlier one of our earlier episodes where it's like, it's not always as simple as just draft a lineman, sign the two best guys, and we're going to have an elite offensive line. Like, I think we should more focus on who's the best offensive line coach. Let's go get that guy. Then focus because it's got to be more scheme. It's not as easy as just getting the guys who are quote unquote the best, but were they just in a good scheme where it was working?
It could be.
Because like I said, the Bengals went out and did that. What Bears fans are wanting the Ryan Poles to do, where they drafted a couple guys, they signed the two best guys in free agency, and they're like, all right, and we got, you know what I mean, we already had the wide receivers, we're just going to protect them, and he still got sacked a shitload of times. And he doesn't, wouldn't say he's the type to hold the ball too long. He does try. He is locked in down the field, but he's got pretty good pocket awareness. He just takes a lot of sacks.
Yeah, and like I said, that the weapons that Cincinnati has, I think, is just yeah. Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes, and that's great. Um, and they got Travis Kelce, stuff like that. But if Cincinnati and Joe Burrow get hot, just the talent on offensive alone, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, obviously, Hunter Hurst is coming to his own. or Hayden Hurst is coming to his own. Tight ends, he's been really good. It's just I don't know. Cincinnati to me still is just one of those teams that you know I'm gonna have to take. It's gonna be really tough to beat them.
I feel like they have no guys on defense. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, their defense does need some work, definitely.
But they did, like I said, everybody looked pretty human except for the Cowboys. I guess. I guess they had the easiest game, or just the best matchup. But um, we'll. I don't know if Dallas is going to play that good against like fucking. What am I trying to say? The 49ers. I don't know if Purdy's going to play that well against an actual pass rush. Seahawks are pretty sweet. They've had a pretty cakewalk last few games of the schedule. And I don't know if Purdy can have that same performance when he throw for 300 yards.
Yeah, he threw for over 300 yards. What was it, like 3 touchdowns or 4 total touchdowns or something like that?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. I guess that will be the ultimate test. Even if he doesn't do the same thing that
Seahawks
he
are
did against
trash
the
on
Seahawks.
defense. They don't have anybody. They don't have a pass rush. They got that nice young DB. That's really it. So I wasn't too impressed with Purdy. It's just, I mean, it's hard to tell with Shanahan. I mean, he's just really good.
Yeah, he's got a very quarterback-friendly offense, but
He
at the
calls
same
really good
time,
plays. He's got good feel for the game.
yeah, but at the same time, though, I mean, not yeah, we can put all the credit on Kyle Shanahan, but some of the credit has to go to Brock Purdy because he's the one in there making the throws. And yeah,
players play
when
too. I agree there. I agree with you.
When you have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk,
Trent Williams,
Christian McCaffrey, yeah, it makes it a little bit easier when you're throwing 10-yard slants and they're taking it to the house.
And Kyle Shanahan just has a good read of what the other guy's calling out there, and he calls like half of his play calls are like perfect counters to what the other guy's calling. Like, and it's just
But to credit Brock Purdy,
he's still got to
be he's still got to be the one that makes the right read. Throw the ball right angles.
Even if he's below average, he's earned himself a career of being a backup quarterback for the rest of his life. He could be.
That's the thing. God forbid, just say for the sake of argument, San Francisco wins the Super Bowl and Brock Purdy plays out of his mind. What do you do?
I mean, Brock Purdy's your quarterback. I mean, that's what you're going to do. I mean, Trey Lance will be the backup, and you'll be in the blessed position that if Brock Purdy it was just a one-hit wonder, that you go back to Trey. You go back to the drawing board.
You still got to kind of see what Trey can do. You drafted him.
I mean, you let him battle it out, but if he doesn't blow you away in training camp, it's Brock Purdy's job to lose. I mean.
And then you got the Giants and Philly coming up. Brian Daboll.
Wow, what
the job he's done with Daniel Jones, and just as a quarterback, there's no words for it, so to speak. I mean, I can't remember. I'm trying to think back of the last time a quarterback had a coach go from the level of play he was to the level of play he's at now. Nice example being Josh Allen, but Brian Daboll was there with that too. Because he's, offensive coordinator. Like, the man is a quarterback whisperer. Everybody was talking shit about Daniel Jones, before the season, early in the season. So he has transformed himself into a player that you win in spite of. Now he's a player you win because of.
Yeah.
Some of the plays he made, and he's got nobody. We talk about the Bears having nobody. Yeah, okay, I've always been a Darius Slayton fan. Always have been. I think Darius Slayton's a very good player when he's healthy. But that's the key. Can he stay healthy? Generally not. But the only person on that offense that Daniel Jones has is Saquon Barkley. That's it. And
no, they also have like 4 first-round pick offensive linemen. They got Neal and
I'm
Thomas.
talking just about the weapons in general.
I know, but what I'm saying is like you can play with lesser weapons if you're offensive. Like all those guys are athletes, and if your 2 tackles are good and can protect your quarterback, then you can play with anybody a wide receiver, especially if you got somebody like Saquon. I think that's what I'm saying. I hope we get some anchors out on the tackles because I think Daniel Jones is a good example of we get some good play calling and some protection. They'll go out there and make plays because I I think Justin Fields got a better arm than Danny Dimes. He hasn't shown it, but Daniel Dimes also was he in his fifth year, right? Was this his fifth year option? Or this was his fifth year? So
This is
fourth
his
year,
fifth year.
fourth or fifth year. So he should be better than Justin Fields if these guys are progressing like they should. I mean, so in theory, Justin Fields next year will be a lot better, and hopefully he's taking these steps like he's Daniel Jones is progressing, but hopefully we just do it 1 year earlier.
I mean, I don't know. How do you see the game going? Philly and New York.
I don't know. The Giants look really good. Their defenses, again, I think the Giants, they got a lot of shit for their draft, but I think a lot of these young guys, it just took a couple of years for them to find their own. Now they're kind of forming into a nice little young defense. A lot of guys running around making plays, and but I think Philly's going to win. I think they're better coached. I think Jalen Hurts is better than Danny Dimes. I was a Jalen Hurts detractor for a long time, but this year he's changed my mind. I think they just have better weapons in general. I think Saquon's the best out of all the weapons, but I just think AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, Goddard, all those guys, it's going to be a little too much. And like I said, Philly in January, the fans are going to be going crazy. Danny Dimes, that's gonna be a tough game for him to win, but it's gonna be fun though. It's gonna be a fun game. I wouldn't have guessed that this was gonna be the matchup.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot closer game than people anticipate. I think ball control is gonna be, a thing for New York to really kind of keep that Philadelphia offense off the field. I think you're gonna see a lot of Saquon touches. I think you're gonna see a lot of hitch and slant routes from the Giants wide receivers. Um, and kind of just keep that ball away from Jalen Hurts in that offense because they are a completely different offense when Jalen Hurts is on the field. They're a much better offense when Jalen Hurts is on the field as opposed to any of the backups that they had playing, especially Gardner Minshew. Not to take anything away from him, it's just the team looks different. Um, so, I mean, we'll see about that. I think Philly wins 31-24, something like that. It's going to be a one-score game. I don't think it's going to
Yeah,
be anything more than
it'd
that.
be like 7.
Um, yeah, especially with them being at home, that raucous Philly crowd, some of the best fans in the entire league, some of the craziest fans in the entire league. Um, and then who else we talked about Cincy, we talked about
Who do the
Kansas
Chiefs play?
City.
The Chiefs play the Bills, right?
No, I think the Chiefs play the
The
Bengals.
Bengals. Uh,
Let me
but,
let me let me double check that real quick.
but really, who cares? They're not the Bears. Let's talk about this this Colts news coming out that they're willing to trade up. I think the Colts are the perfect partner. The Colts is like really what I want to fall. Like we
Number
don't have to.
4.
Yeah, where we might not necessarily have to make the Will Anderson Carter decision. So fate will decide for us. So we won't feel like we got fucking shafted if one's better than the other. Um, and I think we got it in. Eberflus was just there. He kind of knows. Like if this is like a fucking trade where we get 3 players, maybe he knows a little young nobody player we can snag up that'd be good that would fit his scheme or something like that. They have a lineman, they got a wide receiver, they got a tackle that we might want. And like I said, 4 is like where I want to fall. I don't really want to go any farther back than 5. I want to get Carter or Will Anderson. I have yet to make up my mind. Every day I feel differently. I guess it really depends on who we get in free agency.
Well, like I was saying, and we talked about this last week, and I said, yeah, 4 is a great spot. I know who it was, David Kaplan, that said that Indianapolis was prepared to, offer a plethora of picks, including this year's first, next year's first, this year's second, next year's second, plus Michael Pittman. And there could be some other players and picks involved in that for the number 1 overall pick.
If they would
Even
put
if the
Pittman,
Bears,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to
even if
interrupt.
the Bears don't get, say DeAndre Hopkins in a trade, which I still think is a possibility, though. It may or may not happen. Who knows? But it's still a possibility. But if you can't get a true number 1 wide receiver, especially with the free agency class that we have right now, because I don't think they draft a wide receiver in the first round. I think,
I hope they
and
don't.
and I'll talk about that here in a second too. But I think the best thing for the Bears, if you can't get a true number one wide receiver, your best bet is to have three number twos, and you'll have Pittman, Claypool, Mooney. Those are guys obviously that you'll have. But if you do this trade, you can't really go out and trade for a number one wide receiver because how far does because you're going to keep Mooney in the rotation. You just traded for Pittman, so you're going to keep him in the rotation. You just got say you do trade for DeAndre Hopkins as well, so that where does that put Claypool? Ryan Poles didn't trade a second round pick to have a fourth, wide receiver, a wide receiver four. That's not what he traded him for. So that's going to be very tricky. And a little bit in the draft, you take a look at some of the wide receivers, and yes, I'm wearing a Tennessee hat. However, I see a lot of people talking about Jalen Hyatt out of Tennessee. I think that's the wrong choice in the second or third round. His teammate Cedric Tillman is a lot better in my opinion, and he's going to be available in the third or fourth round. Hyatt, he got against press coverage this year. He's had 0 receptions, 0.
Yeah, and that's how they're playing us. We need somebody to beat the press.
Yes,
and I have really not been impressed with anybody. The only kid I seem to like, and I hate to say it, is the kid from Ohio State. I think he can play. I think if we somehow trade back and somehow get a mid or late first, hopefully he's there in the second. Maybe we can trade back up. I think he's the only wide receiver in the draft I'd really want. I think Johnson is better. Or I think it's Johnson, right, from TCU.
Johnson, yeah.
And Addison, I think they're better, but I just think they're going to go like top 15, and I don't want anybody. I don't want either of them at the top 15.
But it's going to be. I don't think we're trading back into the top of the first round either, though. That's the thing is that you're going to get, and like I said, a team like the Raiders or the Panthers. It's going to be one of those two teams. Raiders or Panthers are going to trade to Arizona. They're going to get that number 3 pick, and they're going to pick Will Levis. I'm telling you that right now. That Will Levis will be gone by 3.
Which means, I was reading Stroud hasn't declared yet. They're saying that
he did. He just
declared. What, today? I didn't see. I was busy today. Yeah,
he just declared.
Oh, I was going to say I didn't. Okay,
yeah, because that was big news. It was, was he coming back or was he going to declare? Because if he did not declare, the value for that number 1 overall pick would have skyrocketed because then the race is just for Bryce Young.
Yeah.
But a team is going.
I mean, it still helps us there being 3 then because we might get to trade back twice if there's 3 quarterbacks. Like, let's say we trade back to 4, and it goes fucking Young, Stroud, Will Anderson. Then, like you said, the Panthers are fucking. The Panthers or the fucking Raiders are going to want to come to 4. So I think it's still a good thing. It's been interesting as Stroud say. The NILs made it interesting to me too. It's like, I don't know what those kids are getting paid, but I know if you're Stroud, I know Ohio State to pay you $10 million at least to come back. That's got to be more than you're making on your rookie deal. Like, and it's got to be he's got to be a king at Ohio State. Like probably doing the homework. He just got a nice. They probably have like student housing where he's got a nice ass house. Like,
yeah, it's definitely changed the game. I
mean, personally, especially as big, like I'm a Michigan fan. If I was a kid and I was there and I'm a quarterback, they're gonna pay me $10 million to come play my senior year in Michigan. Like, fuck it. Like, and it's like, okay, worst case scenario, you get hurt, you can't go play in the NFL, which probably won't. If you're like a quarterback, you don't really have to worry about like never playing again. You're not a running quarterback. Like, oh, you get a knee injury, you're still probably get drafted.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Brady. Brady had that torn ACL in his 3rd or 4th year or whatever it was.
Yeah, like it's really not gonna fuck with you. But I thought when I heard the news, I thought it was interesting. Like, shit, if I was Stroud, I might stay. Depending if they're, you know what I mean, they'll give me $10 million. Like, shit, I'll come back. I'll be the number 1. Might not be number 1 pick, but I'll be number 2 pick, like I was gonna be this year anyways. Who cares? Like,
well, I know that really depends too because this year he's definitely 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Next year, I don't care how he plays. The
Caleb
hype for Caleb Williams and Drake May. Those are your
I don't know about Drake May
next year.
Drake May ain't done shit though. Like
it doesn't matter. You know how NFL scouts are, and you know what I'm saying. They love what they see.
Well, I'm just saying Stroud's like he's eye test and he's got the clout. Like the resume is what I'm saying. It's not like Stroud's Bryce Young. Like Stroud's fucking 6'3", two. You know what I mean? Big guy, big arm, and all the
Yeah,
fucking red stats to
but
get it.
even
Like,
even when the Bears drafted Mitch Trubisky with the number 2 overall pick, every other quarterback, in that draft, including Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, had more clout, had more, better just play on the field in general. They still had the intangibles, they had the size, everything else
yeah,
like
I
that.
mean,
But
you are right. Yeah, I mean, same just happened with fucking Joseph Trey Lance and fucking Zach Wilson got drafted before.
yeah,
Fucking,
like it happens, and
it
that's
is weird.
that's what's going to happen with
I don't.
Will Levis.
I don't think he'll jump Stroud though. I don't know. I was watching some Will Levis highlights today, and I don't know. I don't see it. Like,
And he's a raw product.
yeah,
But and this is all kind of just hyperbole anyway, and we're kind of just kind of spitballing because it really just depends on how free agency goes, as well as some of the coaching hirings that are going on in the NFL,
yeah.
especially Houston, because Houston's going to want a GM and a coach before they go
Well,
into
I'm
the
not.
draft.
I think Houston's all in for. They want Bryce Young, but what I don't. I don't know if they're going to trade up to us. I think they'll be content getting whoever that's left. I think. I think they kind of want the decision made for them anyway. I feel that's how kind of how what I said about Will Anderson and Carter. I think they want somebody to take Bryce Young just because they're worried he's probably too small. I don't like Stroud. I think he's got some of the flaws Ohio State quarterback has that I don't think Justin Fields did, where it's just like they run like a really simple like double crosser fly route scheme and like it's real easy reads. Um, but I like him a lot better than Bryce Young. Bryce Young's just really little too. Just
He is. And that's the thing for me too is like we were talking about before. It's just that size factor for us. We like a little bit more size with our quarterbacks, and he's not your prototypical NFL build, quarterback build, and we get that. And you take a look at teams like Houston, right?
yeah.
There's a real possibility that Sean Payton might take over that organization.
Houston, you think?
Yes.
I guess they do have the number 1 draft pick. He wants to be like what the GM.
He was on one of, oh my God, who was it? Colin Cowherd. He was on the Colin Cowherd show, and Colin Cowherd flat out asked him, like, "What is that a team that you would consider going to?" And Sean Payton's like, "Yeah, why not? Like, the division isn't all that good." And these are his words. He said the division realistically isn't all that good. You've got great draft capital. You've got 6 first-round picks in the next 3 years, one of which is going to have to go to New Orleans because they want a first-round pick for him anyway. So one of those first-round picks is going to go to New Orleans, but you still have very high top draft capital. You got really good cap space. He likes the owners because New Orleans used to practice with Houston when Sean Payton was the coach over there. He's like, I know the owners. We used to practice against the Houston Texans all the time in the preseason, yada, yada, yada. This could be him talking up his price to, other
teams.
Like,
yeah, saying like I'll go to Houston. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess I could see it just because I don't if he wants to be like if he's got a GM in mind or if he kind of wants to be like running the whole thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If he wants to run the whole thing, that might be a good spot because he'll get his quarterback. Kind of like Urban Meyer, but
because Tennessee just hired a GM. Houston Indy has a GM already, and Chris Ballard. So roster control, realistically, you're down to Denver and you're down to Houston. And Denver's a possibility, sure, but I don't know if he wants to work with Russell Wilson.
I think he said he did, but
yeah, but again, like he will have full roster control in Houston. He gets to choose his quarterback. He gets to, make all of his decisions, and he can build that roster in his image, however way he sees fit. And I just think that's probably the best scenario for him if he wants to prove himself as, not just a good coach, but as a team builder. That scenario is perfect for him. You got all the draft capital in the world, and you have a lot of cap space going into next season as well. I don't know if they're going to trade Laramie Tunsil because Laramie Tunsil says he wants to reset the left tackle market. I don't personally think he's worth it.
Is he that good?
I don't think so. I don't watch a lot of Houston football.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know.
I don't know. But like when you hear about the best offensive lineman in the league, you don't really hear his name come out a lot.
Yeah, but that's where he's at too, because of where he's at too. So,
yeah, it could be. But I mean, I don't know what the market is now, who the highest paid left tackle in the NFL is. But I'm sure it's over 20 mil. So if he wants to reset the market, it's going to be what, another 23, 24 mil for a left tackle. That's a premium position, sure, but man, that's a lot of money. And come speaking of which, um, there was so let me throw this number out for you. This was reported. I saw this on Twitter. I was like, shit. I've been on Twitter a lot. By the way, follow me, Angry Bears fan Tommy on Twitter. I was engaging in some conversation on Twitter with a couple of people. That apparently there's a report out there with Saquon Barkley's market value. So right now the price tag on his market value is 4 years, 47 million, which is a tad about 11.5 mil per season. Josh Jacobs is probably going to be the highest paid running back in the NFL. He's probably going to be somewhere around 18, 19 million he'll be looking at. But at 4 years, 47 million, and here's why I say this. It might be looking into if you're Chicago. Here's why. So the league threshold, the cap threshold is going to be set at like $220 million for 2023. It is a league rule. My video, hold on, my video.
Right when you said that, it's like
The league, so the cap threshold is going to be 220 million for 23. The league rule is that you have to spend a minimum of 90% of that $220 million. So whatever the league threshold is, it is required for you to spend 90%, which means if they cut Cody Whitehair, which they're probably going to, you're looking at roughly $130 million that you have to spend because they're going in with 75 million. Their cap hit for next year, their hard cap hit is only $75 million. So realistically, you have to spend 130, $135 million in the offseason. You have to.
Yeah.
Where's that money going to go?
I don't.
So
Yeah, we're going to overpay probably on 2 or 3 guys because I've been seeing that. Well, I was reading something else that on top of what you just said, we have like rollover cap that we have to spend because of last year.
all the dead cap money that we took on for last year. Like I said, we have to spend $130 million.
Bears are required to meet the cash floor, which is about 240 million. Teams that spend at least 90% of the cumulative cap between 2001 and 2003. So, well, like you said, I think so. It's 20 million more. We have to spend at least 150. Like, I don't know. I guess we don't even know who's going to be free agents yet.
No.
Whoever the best D lineman is, I'm assuming we're getting them.
Yes.
Unless it's somebody who like really wants to go to someplace in particular, but whoever wants the bag is getting it from the Bears. Probably the same with the best interior offensive linemen. We'll probably give them the bag too. There's really no receiver to get. Guessing whatever linebacker isn't Tremaine Edmonds. I think he's supposed to be a free agent for the Bills.
Yes.
They're probably not going to pay them. And Roquan just got 20, so I'm assuming he's going to want something like that. But he ain't he's not an all pro. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm assuming that's why he won't be back on the Bills, and Roquan's getting paid so much that they can't tag him now. So maybe we can get him for 14, something like that. Give him a little 15.
Well, see, here's a couple of things that I'm looking at. Okay, Mike McGlinchey, tackle from San Francisco, free agent. Orlando Brown Jr., tackle, free agent, Kansas City. One of those two will be a Chicago Bear next year. Javon Hargrave, Draymond Jones, and Darren Payne, all 3 free agent defensive tackles. One of them will be a Chicago Bear next year. You got Jesse Bates III, which, okay, so before I get into this, I thought we were going to need another safety, but I sent you a text message. I was talking to somebody as well. Eddie Jackson doesn't need the surgery on his Liz Frank injury, so it's not as serious as what we had earlier thought, being out of calendar year. Realistically, he'll probably be back at the start of next season. So if that's the case, that kind of takes one of our, takes care of one of the back ends, defensive backs. We don't have to worry about that. We can always draft one or sign one for a backup just in case something goes wrong. But you're going to need.
I think he might get cut for cap purposes, and maybe we'll have him back if he wants to take a cut. Maybe.
Jamel Dean, cornerback from Tampa. He's a good young kid. You also got Cam Sutton, who's a cornerback. Possible there. You were talking about interior offensive linemen. The best one I've seen so far on my free agent list, on my free agent board, is Ben Powers, the guard from Baltimore. And I would take almost any of those Baltimore offensive linemen because they're all pretty good. That's a pretty good solid unit. But Ben Powers is a free agent. He's a interior lineman.
Yeah, I like him.
Like I said, I think you sign. I think you draft the kid from Michigan, the center from Michigan. I know there's a lot of talk about John Michael Schultz from Minnesota.
Yeah, in my mock, that's actually who I had, but I like the kid from Michigan better too.
I like the kid from Michigan. And then you've also got, pardon me, Marcus Davenport. Injury history, of course, is going to be a concern for Marcus Davenport from New Orleans, but he is an edge rusher. He's a free agent. You could probably, give him a little bit of money to come out this way. And then, like you said, if you're stuck at number 4, whoever's there, Will Anderson or Jalen Carter, you take. If it's Will Anderson, great. If not, if you say you sign Javon Hargrave and you sign Darren Payne, right? Do you pass on Jalen Carter and do you draft the kid from Clemson as an edge rusher?
I don't know.
A little high, so you might be able to trade back and get him.
I would say try and trade back and say, hey, we'll do it for a discount if we don't want if Will Anderson's gone, and we've done that. I think that's what kind of dilemma we're going to be in, where I don't necessarily think we're going to have to take Carter just because I think there's value at DT, even like I said, Hargraves. If we don't get Payne, I think he's a solid consolation prize, and I think he's a really good 3 technique. So I'd be fine if we ended up with him and then some, you know what I mean, and some other guy.
Well, then we're gonna have to take on money.
Yes.
So whether it be trades, highly paid people in trades that maybe a team's looking to salary dump, and you have hey, instead of cutting this guy and getting him for nothing, how about we trade you this stud defensive end or this stud, defensive tackle for a 3rd round pick next year or something like that, because you're gonna get a plethora of picks from trading.
I'd have to look and see who's on the cut watch, who's probably gonna get cut because of how much they make next year.
Cap casualties, man. And then that's the thing too, it makes it really hard.
I was hearing Mike Evans is gonna be asking for a trade or something like that, or I was seeing something like that.
Mike Evans, I'm like hit or miss on Mike Evans, and
I like Mike Evans just because he's played with a lot of quarterbacks. I like guys. He gives me Brandon Marshall vibes. He's a crazy diva. He will get annoying, but he's the type who'll punch a guy because he pushed the quarterback.
He's had a lot of drops this year, man. Like
a lot of drops. There's some guys who make up, but he just makes a lot of plays. He gets open. I mean, there are people. What are a lot of drops? Like 5. Like that is a lot in theory, but I like.
And him. He's getting up there. He's gonna be 31.
Damn, is he 31? Damn.
Yeah, he's gonna be 31, and it's gonna be one of those, like, you're gonna have him for a couple years. I mean, we could say the same thing about DeAndre Hopkins. You're only gonna have him for a couple years, but DeAndre Hopkins is DeAndre Hopkins. Like, it doesn't matter.
I know what you're saying, but Mike Evans is like, if DeAndre Hopkins is 5, Mike Evans is like 8 or 9. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, Mike Evans is close to that caliber of players. Well,
he's got to stay healthy. Yeah. He's got to stay healthy, and he's got some of those drops this year have been crippling and just horrible to watch. Wide open, like breadbasket right through his hands drops, and I don't
watch a lot of Tampa games, so I don't know. But I'm like, oh my God. I just saw he was a potential target for the Bears. I guess if Tom Brady goes somewhere else, he'll probably want to leave.
Oh, I'm sure Tom Brady won't play for the Tampa Bay Bucks next year. That's not happening. Where does Tom Brady go? I mean, after watching that game, if you're a GM, yeah, it's Tom Brady, but he's, going on 46 years old.
My guess is like maybe if the Niners lose the Niners and then them roll out, like, okay, if fucking Tom sucks it up, we'll just go back to Purdy. But I think Trey Lance will be somewhere else. I think he'd get cut. I guess if they sign Tom Brady, he gets cut. If not, he'll just be on their team. Maybe the Steelers. I don't know. I have a feeling. I don't know why. I think Zach Wilson's going to be on the Steelers. his backup. I don't know why. I think he's gonna. I don't know. I never thought he was better than Justin Fields, but I think he deserves another shot. I don't like the Jets. I don't like how they're run. So
Well, I'll tell you what.
Mike
You
White
know
has
who's
like
gonna
one good game out of 6, and fucking everyone's like he's fucking a god.
you know who's gonna be the quarterback for the Jets next year?
Derek Carr.
Is he gonna be him or Lamar Jackson?
The Ravens aren't. I don't. What are the Jets gonna like? What do you trade for Lamar Jackson? Russell Wilson just went for fucking a bag. Like if Russ will, what did he go for? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 3 players. Russ Wilson.
Yeah, something like that.
Like what the fuck is Lamar Jackson worse than? Like he's so much better than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, but the Jets have it. That you can the Jets are ready to win. They just need a quarterback. Like
I don't
the
know.
Jets
It's
are
like if would that
ready
even
to
be
win.
worth it? So I don't know. I think they tag him.
Is the relationship salvageable? He didn't even travel with the team to a
That was
playoff game.
weird. He is being a little weird. Where it's like, bro, aren't you on the team? I'm fine if you don't want to play. Now it's just and the shit he says makes it seem like oh he could play. Like if he had a contract with guaranteed contract by now he'd be playing. And I
And
guess that
that's the
is their
thing.
fault too. And it's hard for me because I get stuck in the middle of a fan, a player, and like an ex-player. Well, on such a smaller level, but it's like I couldn't do that to my guys. But I've never been in a contract negotiation for fucking $500 million. So it's hard. Like I don't know how to relate to that. It would just be tough for me. Where like I always caught grief because I was like. When Andrew Luck retired, I was like, that's shitty, bro. Like right before the season started, like I understand you got to protect yourself and all that. And I get that. But it's like, dude, they retire after the year. They could have he like fucked their whole season over. He retired week 3 of the preseason? Like
Yep.
there was the year they almost fucking went to they were in the AFC championship that year, I believe, the year before. So it's like they're basically thinking, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? We're going to be playing for the Super Bowl. He's like, you know what? I'm done playing. Like fucking a week before the season starts. Like that's the type of shit where it's like, business football, your own person. I know I'm like a team guy where like my knee's been fucked up. I'm like, you know what? I'll go out there and fucking fuck it up some more. And I'm not, I guess it's impossible to ask Lamar Jackson to do that, but it's like, at least don't act like that then at least. Like, you know what I mean? Play it off a little bit better. Like,
Well, see, that's the thing. The not playing thing, that's one thing. I understand that, but not going to the game and not traveling with the team is a completely
a
different
playoff
level
game,
of
he was being a distraction during the biggest game of the year for them.
yeah,
And that
and
was
that's
annoying
just
where he should have
not
been supporting them. He should have been
yeah.
not answering no questions about that shit and be like, I'm not answering any contract shit until
I'm here for my team.
yeah, I'm not answering any contract questions until we win this playoff game. Like I don't want to talk about that. We're going to talk about Tyra Huntley and the game plan. He did play that very badly. Football is such a team game, and like us being like linemen who are like the ultimate, like to have to be the ultimate team guys, it's kind of hard for me to be listening to these guys be divas. But I know how much Lamar has on the line. You know what I mean? He's about to get $50 million a year to play football at what, a 7-year contract or something like that. So he's going to be getting like 400 mil. He wants the whole thing guaranteed basically. So fucking, you know what I mean? He's about to get 250, 300 million guaranteed dollars. So it's kind of hard to go out there and be like, you know what? I'm going to risk it all, blow my knee out, and fucking trying to win.
And that's the thing too, is that so Deshaun Watson got his all guaranteed.
That
Deshaun
fuck.
Watson, and Deshaun Watson has not one but 2 serious knee injuries on his history.
Yeah, but he's not a runner.
No, but he can still run.
Yeah, but he was known for being a passer. That's why people don't care. It's like you were saying with Brady.
Yeah, but like I said, he still runs regardless. When he tore his knee, he didn't do it standing in the pocket. He did it running.
No, I agree. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's why that didn't affect his market value. But if Lamar's market value is all in his ACL joints, like
all of that guaranteed. Now I'm not gonna say every single quarterback in the league. They probably will look for it. They won't
worth their salt. Yeah.
But like when you do that as a team, I'm sure every single owner in the NFL was like, these fucking cocksuckers. Like, I cannot believe they just did that. Because now you're setting a precedence and an example for the rest of the league to try to follow. And it's going to be impossible because you can't. I understand athletes wanting a fully guaranteed contract, but I also understand the business aspect of it of, okay, I'm going to pay you $230 million. All of it's going to be guaranteed. Whether you take another snap for us or not, you're getting $230 million. I don't think that's in the best interest of not just the team, but the league in general. Like,
I don't know. I won't say that. I think he was the wrong guy to give it to. I think if anyone was to get that, it would have been Lamar. I think that would have set a good example for the league. But like because he was Lamar, Mahomes, these guys are like not only elite, but they're like setting good examples of what you want to be. Like Deshaun Watson. Even though I don't know, say on his team, but I'm team. You know what I mean. If I don't know either party, then I need to see some real evidence before I pick anybody's side that I haven't seen any. But that was the wrong guy to give that to, and it basically like gave Lamar Jackson all the ammo needed. Like if he fucking got that, I got an MVP. You don't got an MVP. I got an MVP, and I just didn't fucking sit out for 2 years. Like
yeah, even the best quarterback in the NFL, when he signed his deal, which was unprecedented at the time, 10 years, $500 million or whatever it was when Patrick Mahomes got it. What was his guaranteed money?
I don't know, it was like 200 and something. I think it wasn't all of it.
The entire contract wasn't fully guaranteed.
No.
If I was going to give a fully guaranteed contract to somebody, it'd be
it should have been Mahomes. Yeah, I'm not against the fully guaranteed contract. I just thought the Deshaun Watson one was a weird time to do it. And it put a lot of teams in bad spot because they had to pay guys who were a lot more morally superior to Deshaun Watson, at least what you know what I mean, the headlines, and also production wise, and they hadn't sat out a season and have to sit out a half of another one. So that really fucked them on the Lamar case. But it would be interesting like to see what Lamar would get on the open market. What do you think fucking the Jets would give him? 10 years, fucking $50 million or fucking $50 million a year? Like
I would assume it'd be anywhere from the 7 to 10 range, probably 45, because he's not Mahomes. You know what I'm saying? So I would say a 40, 45 mil a season. So that's still 280 to $320 million on a contract.
mm-hmm.
Probably 70% of it guaranteed.
Yeah.
So out of if you have a $340 million contract, 260 is going to be fully guaranteed, which it's not bad.
No.
And the Jets have it. There's only a handful of teams that'd be able to take on that kind of a trade, give up that much draft capital, and pay Lamar. The Bears being one, which isn't going to happen. The Jets being one. Realistically, Indianapolis, Tennessee, but I just don't see Indy or Tennessee going after him. The Raiders, but
maybe no. The Raiders got Devontae, Max, Chandler Jones. I don't know if they can afford him.
There's not a lot of teams that can pull it and then pay Lamar. So Lamar is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place himself. It's either re-sign with Baltimore or kind of get forced to do a situation with New York. So if he just cares about the money and he wants to win, I think his best place is going to be, either Baltimore or the Jets, because I just think with that Jets defense, you don't need a lot. He kind of be in the same situation that he's in now in Baltimore where, but at the same time, he'll have Garrett Wilson, who's 100 times better than any wide receiver he's thrown to in Baltimore his entire career.
Yeah, but he'd be losing Mark Andrews.
You'd have Breece Hall. You'd have Garrett Wilson. You'd have Elijah Mitchell, or not Elijah Mitchell, Elijah Moore. You have some weapons on offense that are, pretty decent, and you have a really good offensive line again protecting you with a top tier defense. I think that's going to be great for him. But yeah, we'll see. We got to see how all this plays out.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about.
Affect how the Bears
it's going to be crazy. We need to see if Payne resigns, if Lamar resigns, when Jimmy G gets cut. Does Tom Brady
casualties and
does Tom Brady retire? If he does, Mike Evans, does he ask for a trade? If
Godwin,
if the Raiders can't move up or get a vet, is Devontae Adams going to ask for a trade? Like, there's just like a lot of shit that, like, I guess directly benefits the Bears because we need a wide receiver, and the more quarterback confusion there is, the more valuable the top pick becomes. So That'll be very, very fun to see how that all plays out. Like I said, these as we've gotten older and player player equality or whatever you want to call it is coming to play, these off seasons have gotten crazier and crazier. Never I don't think there's ever been an off season that's going to be this much like so many quarterbacks, high caliber quarterbacks changing teams. Like I said, I think Aaron Rodgers is probably going somewhere else or retiring. Tom Brady, same thing, going somewhere else or retiring. Derek Carr is going to be somewhere else. He's still a top 15 quarterback, so he'll be starting. I wonder who's not starting next year. That'd be a good question. Who do you think is not going to be start? Who do you think was starting this year won't be starting next year?
Geno Smith.
You think
I
they
think if
draft?
Seattle, I think if Seattle has an opportunity, they say Geno's their guy, but he is a free agent, so they depending on what his price tag is, he might be. But I think if they can find somebody to kind of you know um I think maybe he's kind of on the outside looking in. Who's a starting quarterback now that would not be whoever the starting quarterback is for Washington?
Well, they said Howell's going to be their quarterback next year. They
He's not going
say,
to be
but
starting.
who do
No,
you think?
no shot.
I mean, they're not high enough to draft anybody,
Yeah, I guess
and
that's true.
none of the free agents are going to go there. What are they going to get? Jimmy G? Like
Well, I mean,
Carr, I guess.
it's kind of it's an attractive destination for a quarterback to go because you got Jahan Dotson and Terry McLaurin to throw the ball to. But I mean, yeah, dude, that's really tough. That's a really tough question because there's, you know, you take a look around the league and you figure half the league's going to be, looking to upgrade the position at some, form or fashion. So who's that half? Um, maybe you get
Well, the
12 new starting
Packers will
quarterbacks
probably need a
next year.
quarterback, unless I guess they're going with Love. But if they're
They'll
going with Love,
probably go. Yeah,
that's
they'll
one
probably
less
go with Love.
quarterback that's going to have a job then that
Yeah.
didn't last year. So it's like, I think Trey Lance, if he's not the starter in San Francisco, might get some traction. If they, like I said, if Purdy plays his heart out and they go to the Super Bowl and they lose or something, if you know what I mean, like probably his team, Trey Lance will probably say, "Hey, I want to get the fuck out of here." That he's got to be killing himself. He's like, that could have been fucking me. I could have done what that fucking kid was doing. Ugh, sucks for him. Could you imagine if that was fucking Justin Fields they had over there though?
Dude, I'm telling if Justin Fields was on the 49ers, oh my God.
We need to trade for Kyle Shanahan. Hopefully they lose, they choke, and the 49ers are just done with them, and we could just trade for Kyle Shanahan. That'd be crazy. I would. That's the one thing that isn't like the old days. The old days there weren't as many trades, but there always be like some crazy shit that would happen like every 5 or 10 years. Like some said Jay Cutler would get traded out of nowhere for fucking 2 firsts, or fucking Mike Ditka trade his whole draft for fucking a running back.
Ricky
Like,
Williams. Yeah. Oh, that was so bad, dude. That was so bad. You ready for some factor cap?
Let's get it.
All right. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Bears hold the number 1 overall pick. Indianapolis holds the number 4. There's been some rumors, David Kaplan reporting that Indianapolis is ready to offer a plethora pick, plus Michael Pittman and possibly some other players for that number 1 overall pick. So I ask you, Factor Cap, the Bears' best offer for that number 1 overall pick will come from the Indianapolis Colts.
I will say that is fact, and just because it leaves us in the top 5, and I think Jim Irsay is always like he's shown that he'll okay some dumb shit. And like I said, I think they have a few Pittman, Buckner that they would come off of that would really be helpful for us. That we can just like players just don't have that as much value as draft picks. So what's Pittman worth? A third? What's fucking Buckner worth? A second? Maybe a late first? Like I don't know. I don't know what his contract likes, how many years he's got left. Buckner can't be worth more than a second. So it's like they won't even, you know what I mean, quote unquote, be that much in the trade anyway. We'd still probably end up with the 4th pick, a next year's first, and a second, and 1 or 2 of those guys. So I do think that'll be the best trade offer we get. Like I said, unless the only thing I could contemplate that would be better, not in value wise, but just for us, because then we just trade again, is if Houston offered us anything for it, because then we'd just be in the same exact position we were in. Because if Houston trades up to 1, that means they're not going to trade 1. So fucking, we would still basically get the same deal that we were going to get for 1 at 2 and whatever we got for pick 1. So that would say that any deal that Houston can offer would only be something better, just because it would just be a cherry on top because we still get to do 2 deals.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement there. I think if you do include players, say like Michael Pittman, DeForest Buckner, the 4th overall pick, next year's first, and like a 3rd or a 2nd, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Quentin
That's
Nelson. That's what I want. Quentin Nelson. Get him in there somehow.
Could you imagine if Chris Ballard did some dumb shit like that? Like, hey, I'm going to trade you Quentin Nelson, Michael Pittman, DeForest Buckner, the 4th overall pick, next year's first, and a 3rd for the number 1 overall pick.
We could send back like real. That's what I would do is be like something like that, and like, all right, we'll give you Cody Whitehair back, and fucking, you know what I mean? Here, take Chase Claypool, like, you know what I mean? Something like that, or just to be done with that, and something like that. It's weird because those are like Madden trades. Like a lot of those trades don't happen in real life, but I do think this Bears trade is going to be some weird shit we ain't never seen before. So like, I won't say never seen before, but just like multiple players, multiple picks for.
But if you're Ryan Poles, if I'm Ryan Poles, and those 3 names come up, because they're pretty good, especially Quentin Nelson. I'm nutting in my pants. Yeah. Like I hear. I
would really want Quentin Nelson. That I would. Pittman's the least I would want out of the 3, obviously, but I would really like if they're really willing, at least like poke Quentin Nelson deals. Like, what is it going to take? Because what's Quentin Nelson worth? A first, late first, maybe a second. Well, say something like that. He makes. So it's like, you know what I mean. It's instead of giving up a next. We kind of really want that next first though.
Yes, we do.
I think I agree. I don't know if we can do a deal without getting the next first. I want it just because that's what it is, and we're not doing a deal unless it's something crazy like Buckner, Pittman, and Nelson. I don't want to do a deal that doesn't get us staying in the top 10 and getting us a pick next year from a team that's going to be like top 10 bad. Like, if we can't get that, then I don't want. Like I said, we're trying to set up for the future. We're trying to build a powerhouse, and we cannot fumble our best chance with these assets. Like I said, it's usually when you got the first pick in the draft, it's for a reason, and you need a quarterback badly. So it's counterproductive because you can't use it to rebuild. You just got to roll the dice on a quarterback who may or may not suck. We're in the perfect position where we got at least a guy with super high potential. And no matter what you want to say about, you know what I mean? We didn't go on a tangent about this, but no matter what you want to say about Justin Fields or Bryce Young or whoever's better, he has just as much potential, and like his, you know what I mean, his scout rating is as high as theirs. So it's like, if you know what I mean, if you think Justin Fields is bad and going to be bad, you know what I mean, they're just as likely to be bad.
1,000%.
So that's how I'm looking at it. I mean, and Bryce Young's just too small.
All right, number 2. We mentioned earlier Brian Daboll, leading the New York Giants to the playoffs and a playoff win over the Minnesota Vikings. Daniel Jones has looked like a completely new player. So in retrospect, in hindsight, I ask you, factor cap, the Chicago Bears made a mistake hiring Matt Eberflus instead of Brian Daboll.
I'll say cap based on that assessment. I just think the Giants are a better team than us. I mean, I don't really know.
But he may be a better team. Maybe a better team, but is Daniel Jones a better quarterback than Justin Fields?
No, I don't think so. He played better this year. I don't think it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not because of Brian Daboll, but I just think no matter what, we are in tank season. So I'm not trying to close the book on Eberflus. They gave him a possible situation to be a successful coach, to win games, and he was in a lot of them. You know what I mean? You even talked about before, like, there's like 7 games like within one score that we lost in like the fucking final 5 minutes. And not only did we just lose it, we like completely botched the end of the game and lost the game for ourselves. It wasn't like, oh, we were just going back and forth. They got the ball last and scored. And it's like we fumbled 2 punts that gave up the go-ahead touchdown when our defense was playing good. Or if, you know what I mean, Justin Fields threw 2 interceptions on getting drives where he was playing pretty well. He could have drove down the field and got a field goal or a touchdown to win the game. So I thought Eberflus hasn't got some of the credit I think he deserves. There's some things I haven't liked, but the Texans, who has a worse roster than us? Like, nobody.
Well, as a head coach, like I said, or like you said too, it's undetermined. Yeah, Dayball did bring the Giants to the playoffs, while Eberflus, kind of floundered. But like you said, the roster, in terms of quarterback, building and just being able to develop a quarterback, if that was your number one priority, for Ryan Poles. If Ryan Poles, said in the offseason, our number one priority is developing Justin Fields, and you hired Matt Eberflus instead of Brian
Daboll.
Daboll. I think there's something not adding up in that. You know what I'm saying?
I really wanted
Um,
Peterson. I don't know if he didn't want to come here or that's who I really wanted.
but
He seemed like he would
Daboll,
have. Doug Peterson seemed like a guy who'd rather be in Chicago than Jacksonville too. So I hope he didn't fuck
I
that
mean,
up.
maybe, but
I don't, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. You're right,
but just like in terms of we know that Daboll wanted to come here, um, but it's just one of those things where it's yet to be determined. It's way too early. They're both first season head coaches. This is their first go around as a head coach. Dayball has had a little bit more talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Plus, they got Saquon and
Danny Dimes, Hater Love is a vet in the NFL. You know what I mean? At this point in the
yeah,
NFL,
he's a 4 or 5 year starter. There's a
yeah.
big difference between a 4 year starter and a
Justin Fields was basically his first year starting. What did he start 5 games last year, the year before? Like basically his first year starting.
Yeah,
And
so I think it's to be determined, but I know a lot of this is a big question right now in Chicago because obviously Dayball being in the playoffs and us having the number one overall pick, it's been a hot topic. I just kind of think it's too early to tell yet.
That's what I would say because Eberflus, it's like they were just in 2 different situations where like we were trying to lose. Like I'm sure he wasn't trying to, but just we weren't set up to win. And the Giants had a playoff caliber defense, a veteran quarterback, a top 5 running back, and a quality offensive line with I think 4 first-round draft picks on it. At least 3. I'm positive they have 3 first-round draft picks on their offensive line, which is quality, to say the least.
All right, number 3. New Bears president and CEO Kevin Warren was announced this past week. He had a press conference today, just pretty much going over all his plans for the Bears moving forward, including 100% being focused on the Bears Stadium being built in Arlington Heights. So I asked Factor Cap, this Kevin Warren's hiring is the best hiring the Chicago Bears have made ever.
We're not counting like player. I guess I would say like in the front offices, I would say big facts. He seems like the guy for the job. Was so great to get Ted Phillips out of there. Today I was listening to I think it was Waddle and Sylvie, and they were just telling stories about the dumb shit Ted Phillips turned down, the deals like the GM wanted to trade up for LaDainian Tomlinson from 8 to 4, and he was like, "No, I don't want to pay that signing bonus," and turned it down. Like, and they were just telling stories of multiple times where Ted Phillips just turned down stupid deals where like he didn't want to pay the extra $500,000 signing bonus. Like, we're the fucking Chicago Bears. We can afford whoever we want. Our like what franchise worth more than us? The fucking Cowboys and the Yankees? Like that's it? Like there can't be 2 or like I can only think maybe I won't say maybe. The Cowboys and the Yankees can be the only 2.
No, that's not true. There's actually a lot of teams that are worth more than us right now, and it's because of one reason. Any sports team, yes, we do not own
what I'm saying is like if you attach Soldier Field, we would be worth the most is what I'm saying.
Yes,
like,
but currently in terms of just value, since we don't own our own stadium, our franchise value dips a little bit. But once we move to Arlington Heights,
it'll go crazy. It'll be like the Cowboys, like I said. But what I'm saying is like we're the most popular. Like, dude, we cannot have any kind of president who's trying to nickel and dime the fucking Bears at any turn when it comes to putting this roster together. I live here. We're from here. The Bears have some of the best fans in the world. Chicago in general does. No matter what our teams are doing, we show up and show out. So it's like to be penny pinching sometimes. It's really frustrating because we like the Bears in general, like the fan base, don't deserve that. Like, it's one thing to be smart and not want to sign stupid, crazy deals to quarterback. We'll understand. Same, yo, you let Roquan go. Nobody's really bitching about that. We understand that. Like, no, we understand we're not paying Roquan $20 million. He's an interior linebacker. That's just the market. But when, you know what I mean, we're nickel and dime and not signing guys because of $500,000 signing bonuses, not trading up because of $500,000 signing bonuses and dumb shit like that. It's like, no, we cannot operate like that. We have to win at all costs.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
agree with you completely.
We need to be spending every dime of the salary cap. We need to be kicking every tire, every trade. Like, we're a football town. Everybody wants to come play here. It's not like we're like the Bulls kind of have a bad rep, and the White Sox. But who the fuck doesn't want to be a Chicago Bear? Like, what, you know what I mean? A Packers fan? Like, who doesn't want to come play for the Chicago Bears, especially if you're a defender? Like,
and that's one of the things too. I'm going to say, with the exception of Mike Ditka being hired as the head coach, this hiring has the potential to be the most impactful hiring of all time, only because of the new project in Arlington Heights with the stadium. You know, because that just brings so much possibilities, so many possibilities. You know, we can host a Super Bowl, we can host a Final Four, we can host the Olympics, we can host with a dome stadium. There's so many opportunities, and it's not necessarily going to be like a classical sphere dome. So Kevin Warren was in charge of building U.S. Bank Stadium in Indianapolis, and that stadium, from everything I've heard on the radio from people that have been there, they say that the U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota is probably top 3 stadiums across the entire league. And they don't have like a classical dome on there. It's like a glass type ceiling kind of thing, which would be interesting. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's enclosed, it's an all-weather, type of thing where you can host all sorts of events and stuff in there. Plus, with all of that land, not only do you have the opportunity to build a new stadium and have plenty of parking and all that other shit, but you also have the opportunity to build, you can have a sports book on the premises, because now with the NFL, engaging in that legal gambling and becoming partners, there's huge money growth opportunity there. Not to mention the kind of businesses that you could put there as well, restaurants, shops.
Oh, it'd be like 3 or 4 hotels.
You can make that an attraction. That's going to be so much money being brought in and raising the value of the Chicago Bears as well. But in terms of impactfulness, like you said, now we know this guy, he knows money, right? He knows how to get things done. He knows how to make deals get done.
No, he just knows you have to spend money to make money. Yes, Ted Phillips was trying to like fucking save money to make money. Like,
so impactfulness, this has the opportunity to be the most impactful hire in the history of the Chicago Bears, and I'm excited for it.
I am too.
Number 4, contract negotiations, as well as just uncertainty with Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers. We've talked about these guys before, but those are the 2 names I wanted to bring up in this factor cap real quick. So Lamar Jackson obviously wasn't on the flight, wasn't on the field, wasn't on the sidelines for his playoff game. Aaron Rodgers, of course, lost to Detroit in the last game of the season, knocking them out of the playoffs. There's a little bit of uncertainty. However, he did say on the Pat McAfee show that he feels like he could still play at an MVP level and he could be MVP again in the quote-unquote right situation. So I asked Factor Cap, Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers will play for new teams next year.
I'll say Cap. I think for sure Aaron Rodgers will. I just don't see the Ravens letting Lamar leave because they have no other options. Their team's built around him. They're not really set up to replace him with anybody else. I think we're going to get in a weird stand-up where they're going to tag him, and it's going to – some unprecedented football shit's going to happen. But I think they'll end up paying him in the long run just because they're not known to do bad business. I know they just got a new GM for the first time. He's kind of probably trying to get out of the other guy's shadow. Was it Ozzie Newsome?
One of the greatest GMs in the history of the
exactly. Game. So I don't know. He was like, didn't want his first deal to be a $400 million guaranteed contract to Lamar Jackson. But that were the cards you were dealt. If Ozzie Newsome was there, he'd be giving it to him. That's just what it is. That's what Lamar's worth. That's what the market is. Yeah, it sucks he's a running quarterback, but he's your running quarterback. So you got to pay him. I mean, Kyler got paid. He done jack shit in the league. Like, you just got to pay your guy. That's what it is. The Bears had to pay Cutler. It's just how your cards are dealt. You got a guy, he's in his contract. There's no other guaranteed guy for you to go get. Like Tom Brady's not coming to Baltimore. You know what I mean? What are you going to roll out with Jimmy G? Like, no. So I think Aaron Rodgers will be a Raider or a New England Patriot.
I'm gonna say fact on both, and I already told you I think Lamar ends up playing on the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers goes to he. I don't know why I keep thinking it seems like him and Vrabel are just like best. They seem like they go out for drinks together and do that hallucinogenic shit. You know what I'm saying? But like if he did go to Tennessee, he would be going from a bad to worse situation in terms of wide receivers. So I mean, I still for some reason something's telling me Tennessee, but the New England
Tennessee
thing,
will run it like 30 times a game though. So
the New England thing, I mean, I think Rodgers plays for a different team next year, as well.
I think
I'm not as
Rodgers
sure.
and Belichick both want to stick it to Brady. So I think they might be they can get in a room together like a couple of mean girls and be like, you know what, we'll both. I need to win another Super Bowl. You need to win another fucking Super Bowl for your. We both need to win a Super Bowl for our legacies. And they're gonna get in a room like
that would be
fucking
something else, man.
pinky
Like
in the brain and fucking. We obviously know who's who and fucking. They're gonna team up and try and win a Super Bowl.
well, Pat McAfee was trying to get Aaron Rodgers. He was trying to recruit Aaron Rodgers to Indianapolis on the Pat McAfee show today.
I think if they get Jeff Saturday, I think it might be an option. I think Jeff Saturday
would fuck the Bears.
I think Aaron Rodgers wants to go play with like people he likes. I think at this point in his career, he wants to go
bad. That really would.
I'm not worried about that. I don't think it will. I'm not. No matter what, we're going to get the bag. I think the Colts offer is growing on me because I don't know. It hasn't even been thrown out there, but I just feel like they said they would do anything, and I want Quentin Nelson. So that's a part of anything. So we need to figure out a way to get him on our team. I think guys like that. I think, like I said, it's coaching and it's mentality, and I think guys like that, you get them on your offensive line, and the rest of the guys follow fucking suit. So
yeah, he seems like a no nonsense.
Exactly,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
You're gonna do what the fuck I tell you.
You know what I mean? He leads by example, and I think, like I said, offensive line. I don't. In the NFL, I've noticed. I think it's more coaching and like chemistry because.
Dude, could you imagine? We've talked about the growth of Tevin Jenkins this year, right? And he just seems like he's like that. No, not. Could you imagine Quentin Nelson and Tevin Jenkins on the same offensive line together?
Yeah, I would really like that. Dude, so that's why I'm falling in love with the Colts offer. But the only one that been leaked out there was just like 4, 2, a third, a next first, and Pittman for our first and like a next third or some shit is the one I saw. But no, I don't want to do that. Like I said, I want to, no matter what, end up with a team that I think's not making the playoffs, first round pick next year. And a quality.
We're gonna stay away from Carolina because that's the NFC South and that's a very winnable division with a losing record.
Oh man.
We're gonna stay away from the Raiders because
I think the Raiders bounce back.
Good.
I think they're gonna get Jimmy G or Brady or Aaron Rodgers. So they'll be fine. So, like I said, I think the Colts will be in a rebuild because if they trade up, they're going to get Bryce Young and they're still going to suck. We just took everything they had. So, they'll still be top 10 for sure. Bryce Young's, like I said, he's not anything special.
All right, final one. It's a Chicago Bulls question. So, there's been recent reports that Zach LaVine's agent is trying to force Zach LaVine's way out of Chicago to the Los Angeles Lakers. We talked about the team's deterioration relationship with Zach LaVine, as well as Zach LaVine's relationship with DeMar DeRozan and coach Billy Donovan. So I asked you, Fact Cat, Zach LaVine will not be a Chicago Bull by trade deadline.
I'm gonna say cap. I think it would be best for both of them now. I just don't see what deals can be done. It feels like he's trying to force a trade to the Lakers. The Lakers have nothing. If the Bulls trade Zach LaVine to the Lakers, the GM needs to be taken out back and shot. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I don't see what deal there is to be made. Who really wants Zach LaVine?
I don't know. You're gonna take Russ's contract on.
No. I would do like
he's a free agent after this year. But you're probably going to take that contract on in a return trade for Zach LaVine. If you're going to take that kind of contract on, though, you're going to need multiple unprotected first round picks.
And they only have 27 and 29, right? It's like,
Yeah, and that's so far ahead in the future. But that also may kind of work out because by that time, LeBron's going to be gone, AD's going to be gone. You're going to have fucking Zach LaVine in the Lakers uniform, and that's who's going to be your fucking face of the franchise. But at the same time,
still too
you
long.
need players that can make an impact now because with Lonzo Ball, there's reports out there that he may not even step on the court again this year. Yeah, he was seen dunking on Instagram, but he still can't make cuts, and that concerns me because now Lonzo Ball's not playing for another, not until next season, maybe. So who are you getting? You're gonna run out with just, Vooch and fucking DeMar DeRozan? Like, who are you gonna
Yeah,
get
I don't
over?
know.
And that's gonna
I I think they should go after to give up on the season and go get like Hayton maybe in some picks. Um, I kind of like that. Maybe John Collins. Uh, I don't know who else
what
is
would a
there.
trade for DeAndre Ayton even look like though? Like
Probably like
Vooch,
Vooch and Pat Will or some shit. I don't know. Vooch, Pat Will, maybe Caruso or somebody. Phoenix is trying to make a run. I like Aiden. Maybe I was seeing a lot of Caruso for James Wiseman shit. I don't know why they don't do that shit. They might as well. If I was a Bears or Bulls GM, I couldn't do that deal fast enough. It's like, what the fuck do you need Caruso for? And
yeah,
it's
because you
like,
got you got Kobe White that came
yeah,
off the bench.
Wiseman's got huge upside. To say he doesn't, I mean, sometimes big men it take 3 years, 4 years, like, you know what I mean?
And
Especially these
that's why
guys
I'm
who are.
saying not to give up on Patrick Will yet.
I don't. Patrick Will isn't a big man though. He doesn't even show like flat, like he don't run the floor very well. He's just so like robot-y. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it. I'm not an NBA scout. I got a decent eye though, and I would be more willing to wait on a big man just because at the end of the day, a big man's fucking 7 foot tall and can get 10 rebounds. Like, so I'm willing to wait. Like Pat Will is not getting 10 rebounds. He's playing some quality defense, I'll say that, but he's not doing enough on offense.
He's got to put some meat on his frame, man. He's a very thin. He's got to like, yeah, he's cut, but I just don't think the size is there in terms of just body mass in general. I think if he, bulks up a little bit more in terms of just, body mass, it kind of fills out his frame a little bit more. He has the opportunity to be a good rebounder, kind of like a power guy. But at the same time, I think when they drafted him, they were looking at him as a stretch 4, and he hasn't shown the ability to shoot the ball good enough to be a stretch 4. So what do you do? How long can you realistically? How long can you? Because
this Lonzo stuff is, I guess, it's not like Derrick Rose, but it's some of those vibes where like this knee injury is like literally derailed 3 seasons of quality Bulls roster. They were going to be pretty. Said I don't know, they weren't going to win a title. I mean, I don't see that. But
no, but they were going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, they could have went to the conference finals and went 6 games. Like, if Lonzo's healthy and they catch the Bucks without Middleton, they might be able to take them. They could have won that series. Like, but
Lonzo Ball is they're a completely different team when Lonzo Ball is on the court, and it's extremely evident. And like you said, it's very Derrick
He's a great leader. He knows how to manage people's, like, he knows how to get DeMar the ball. He can tell that LaVine's pouting to get him the rock. Like, he's a guy who like DeMar don't know how to, like, he don't got that spidey sense where like, oh, LaVine ain't made a shot in a while. Let me get him the rock. Like DeMar DeRozan's like, I'm getting bucket. Same with Zach LaVine. It's like you need that true point guard out there to, like, you know what I mean? It's more than just scoring buckets. It's like the flow of the game. So, like, we got to keep these guys involved and engaged so they don't pout because we're going to need them at the end of the season and in the fourth quarter.
Definitely. Yeah, it's very Derrick Rose, Brandon Roy.
Yeah, it sucks for Lonzo. I like Lonzo. I thought the Bulls were going to give him a perfect shot to wash that buzz stink off of him. I thought he never got a fair shake on the Lakers. And I thought he was getting it on the Bulls. And he was making the most of it. He became he was shooting over 40% from 3. he was a top 5 defensive point guard, and he was getting 8, 9, 10 assists a game, putting up 15 points. It was fun to watch, and like I said, the way he played was contagious. Caruso and him were so active on the defensive end, and like I said, it was fun to watch. And it sucks for that kid that it's probably over with. It seems like.
All right, so real quick to end, rapid fire. Just give me, NFL divisional round winners. Who are we going with? Jacksonville, Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Philly or Giants?
Philly.
Bengals or Bills?
Bills.
Cowboys, 49ers.
Cowboys. I picked the
All
Cowboys
right.
for the Super Bowl. I think Purdy's gonna Michael Parsons and they're gonna get to him.
So I'm gonna agree with you. I think Chiefs beat the Jags. I think the Eagles beat the Giants. I think the Bengals beat the Bills. The Bills just did not impress me.
No, they
last
didn't.
week.
But I felt like the Bengals. I felt the same way about the Bengals too.
They did. But I just think the Bengals. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just a Joe Burrow nut rider right now. I really like Joe Burrow. I'm gonna go Bengals. And the only other one I'm going to disagree with you on is I think the Brock Purdy train keeps rolling. And I think Dak against this defense reverts back to the NFL leader in interceptions. And Dak throws 3 picks. And San Francisco does just enough to win, especially at home. And they have 2.5 days extra prep because Dallas played on Monday and this game is on Saturday. So I think San Francisco does just enough to beat Dallas with that extra prep, and Brock Purdy just turning into fucking Superman. So,
all right.
Well, that
was
pretty
fun.
Good, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we won't have so many technical difficulties with our computers next time. And
comment,
I will
like, and subscribe.
Yes, comment, like, and subscribe. Down and let us know if we're right or wrong.
And follow me on Twitter.
Yes, and TikTok, all that good stuff.
Yeah, our TikTok channel be
Angry
it's a
Bears
lot
fan.
of fun. We actually have a lot of interaction.
Yeah.
We have a lot of interaction on our TikTok channel, so that's pretty cool.
Adios.